we're done with graphing lines and equations. Now it's time to do the same thing with inequalities, and there's very little difference here whatsoever. So when we had inequalities before, like just x is bigger than 3, for example, we would have gone on our number line, we would have plotted 3, and we would have been shading to the right with an open circle here because there was no equal to sign. If I had the equal to sign, that would have been a filled in circle, that type of thing. Okay? Basically, we're going through the same sort of process, but now with graphing lines. The way you start this, ignore whether it's greater than or equal to or less than or whatever. Consider if it was just an equal to sign. And we just did this. You would begin at -3, and your slope would be up 4 to the right 1, up 4 to the right 1, or down 4 to the left 1. And we would connect our dots. The one difference here, besides hopefully connecting your dots better than I can, is because of this greater than or equal to sign, we have to shade one side or the other. Well, greater than, as long as you have y on the left-hand side, you can always read it as, okay, greater than versus less than. Greater than means above, so I need to shade above the lines. That means that all of this portion over here is part that gets shaded. This one right here, beginning at +4, your slope is up 1/3. So no difference there. Okay. This one though, notice we're less than. No equal to sign like we have in the first example. When you have just that, you have a dashed line instead of a solid line. Make that a little more dashed there. And because we are less than in this case, we are shading beneath the line. So there's your shading beneath my dashed line for number 2. Number 3, y is less than 7x minus 2, so here's -2. We're going to be going up 7, right 1, or down 7 and right 1. So not much to go on here. It is no equal to sign again, so we have a dashed line through those 3 points. And now again the question is whether we're shading above or below, and this one's really tough because the line is almost straight up and down. Well, I'm shading below the line. So what I kind of do is, imagine you have this line, and I'm going to just shift that entire line down from where it is. What part would I have ended up shading? Because I'm less than, you can kind of tell where my arrow is right there, where that shading is going to happen. It'll happen on this side. That's the part that's quote-unquote beneath your line there. The other way you can always check, as long as you're not going through the origin. So for example, this one does not go through the origin. The origin's on the left side of this. If you plug in 0 and 0, 0 is then less than 0 minus 2. So 0 is less than -2. Is that true or is that false? This is definitely not a true statement. This is false for sure. So what that means is I don't shade on this side because it was a false statement. I would shade on the right-hand side instead because of that fact. We want to be away from where we just shaded. I could have done the same thing, for example, in number 2. Here's the origin. If I plug in 0 and 0, I would get 0 is less than 4. Is that true? Yes, it is a true statement. That means I'm shading where the origin is. That's why I shaded down here. Okay, let's look at a couple more examples here. This one begins at a value of +5. The slope is -4/1. So I can go and mark a couple points in each direction. Down 4 to the right 1. And I have an equal to sign, so I do have a solid line this time. And I'm shading beneath that line. So again, I should look at, well, beneath the line. It's kind of tough to tell, but you should be able to see it's over here. Or you could have plugged in 0, 0. 0 is less than or equal to 5. Yes, that's a true statement, so I'm shading where the origin is. 5 and 6 are a little bit more fun, but remember, just consider it like it was an equal to sign. Y is equal to 3, or x is equal to 3. Y is equal to 3 means you have no x's, so you have a slope of 0. So you're going to be going straight across. However, don't do what I just did because there's no equal to sign here. That means that this is a dashed line going horizontally. And same thing here, this will be a dashed line going vertically. To see what side you're shading on, number 5 should be really easy to tell. You're greater than here, so that means that we're going to be shading above this dashed line. For x greater than 3, well, you can't shade above or below a vertical line. Well, with x's, well, if I want x's bigger than 3, well, hey, look, I'm getting bigger as I go out to the right. So bigger than 3 for x values would have to be shading off to the right. All right, one final set, and these ones you guys did pretty well on before. Let's make sure we're still good with them. Solving for y if y is not already by itself. So to do that, I need to subtract 2x on both sides here with this first guy. Leaves you with 3y is less than negative 2x plus 6. Divide everything by 3. Y is less than negative 2/3 x plus 2. So with that, as I shade, before I shade I should say, I graph starting at 2. My slope is negative 2 over 3, so down 2 to the right 3. Down 2 to the right 3, and I'll do one going the other direction. There's my points. Notice my sign, no equal to sign, so I need to go dashed. And I'm shading less than, so I'm shading beneath. So there's my shading. Looking at number 8, and I might even say, hey, maybe take a pause and see if you think you know how to solve these equations. Please, I encourage you to do that at any time with these videos. But when you solve this one, negative 4x again for both sides. Negative 5y then is bigger than negative 4x minus 10. Divide both sides by negative 5. Divide everything by negative 5, and I'll run out of room. So y is 4/5 x, and it'll become positive 10, but notice we divided by a negative 5. Flip that sign around. Now, that'll be really important for the shading, especially in a multiple choice question. You'll go still starting at 2, going up 4 to the right 5, up 4 to the right 5, or down 4 to the left 5. Your dashed line again here, because we don't have an equal to sign. Your multiple choice answer, I'll bet you a lot of them would have it shading above, because that's what your original sign is, but we did not maintain that sign because we divided by a negative. That means now we have a less than sign to deal with, so I have to shade down below for this problem. Alright, and one last one. I don't see this too often, but it works the exact same way. If I subtract 2x from both sides, that leaves me with negative y, don't forget that negative out there, is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 0. Who cares? There is no 0. Doesn't matter. But I still need to get rid of that negative by dividing by negative 1. Dividing by negative 1 means the sign's going to change. Y is less than or equal to 2x. So remember we said though that plus 0, imagine a plus 0 is then where you have to begin, is right at the origin. Your slope is up 2 over 1. So up 2 over 1 or down 2 to the left 1. Our line here, it is a line because of the equal to sign. And in terms of shading, don't look at the original, look at what you finished with. In this case, you finished with less than, so you have to be shading down below. So there you go, there's your tutorial on graphing inequalities on the coordinate plane.